Hey guys, Andy here. The three big levers in your executive search business. There are three levers that drive every decision you should be making, but virtually every single search agency owner does not consider these. They get lost in the CVs, you get lost in the funnels, get lost in the expenses. They're missing the big three. There are only three ways to grow your search business. Three ways. That's it. This should be the start of every board meeting, every decision process, at the beginning of each quarter, each month, and indeed each week. These three ways. Number one, we increase the number of clients we have. So we increase the number of clients we have in our agency. Simple, huh? Number two, we increase the number of roles per client. What I'll also add is this. If you're switching off now already saying this is basic, don't be basic. Listen. Number three, fee per role. These three drivers in your business, you know. However, if you can increase each of these by just 10%, your business will grow by a third. So even without adding any more resource, without adding any more tools, any more funnels, God forbid, any more data, any more automation, right now, whatever you're doing in your business, you can add 10% to the number of clients, you can add 10% to the number of roles per client, and you can add 10% to your fee per role. So at the end of the year, that increases your business by 33%. That means no team is needed, no increase in team, no tools, no extra hours, no extra brain fog, no extra expense. Right now, with a few tweaks, every part of your business, number of clients you can increase by 10%, number of roles per client you can increase by 10%, and the fee you can increase by 10%. So these are business fundamentals, and these are the three apex power levers. These should be the decision point of everything that follows in your business. Not do I need this new fancy tool, not do I need extra data sets, not do I need to map this data to that data. This comes down to basic fundamentals. But in search, it is such a crazy, hectic business. We've got a role, we've got our clients, and we've got our feast and famine. The roles come in, we go from client getting mode into candidate getting mode. Then back to client getting mode, shit, we've lost the role, damn. Back to getting a new client, or damn, the candidates ghosted us, get more candidates. Then we get into this crazy eight situation. Crazy eight. And what happens is you get pissed off, lose money, head drops, and we get all out of kilter. These are the three decision points that you should be taking inside your search business every single month. So let's break this down. These numbers are interchangeable. So if you want to get your calculator out and you choose your own numbers, go ahead and do this. It's purely for demonstration, just to prove that this mental block we've got, that to grow our business by a third, means a massive change. We need to make a huge change in the business. No. Let's take 20 clients. We have 20 clients. 20 clients, one role per client. It might be more typical you've got 10 clients and 2 roles per client, or maybe 6 clients and 3 roles per client. Whatever your figures are. 20 clients, 1 role per client, average fee 40K. That's 800K. That shows how fantastic at maths I am. Now let's add our 10%. So if we take our number of clients from 20 to 22, just by 10%, we've now got 22 clients, right? Roles per client, 1.1. Fee per role, 44K. So all of these are a 10% increase, 10%. That gives us 33% growth. So if I ask you the question now, in the next year, your kids will get shot if you can't find an additional 10% number of clients. You're going to find it. If I tell you your kids are going to get shot, in fact, let's move it to pets, make it even more graphic. If you can't find 10% of roles per client, your pet gets shot. 10% fee per role. Who else do you want to get shot? There's got to be an X somewhere you want to get shot. But you see the point I'm making. You can find that 10% just by a bit more focus. This is not massive strategy. This is not bringing in a new niche. This is basic business fundamentals. Can I find that 10%? The answer is yes. Now, Before that limiting belief kicks in and you're saying, easy said, Andy, how do we do that? Without getting down to granular tactics, let's look at some fundamentals here. So lever one, remember we've got 3 power levers, 3 apex power levers. So number of clients, how do we increase that? So to give you some strategic thinking at this point, number one, niche focus. I believe executive search is now in a bastardized state. How it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago when I was bringing automation into recruitment, into search, and then marketing with Recruitment Marketing International, we could have market mapping. So we would have client type 1 and candidate type 1, client type 2, candidate type 2, and you could build up these businesses purely with data sets and mapping those data sets, then put them into an automated tool and off you go. The market is now saturated. When was the last time you bought anything high ticket from a DM? You're sitting there at your laptop and you get an Instagram message, you get a LinkedIn message, you get whatever it might be. When was the last time you spent 1,000, 10,000, 30, 40, 50,000 from someone sliding into your DMs? It's gone. Those days are gone. And what's fundamental is this. You're sitting in your office, sending out these automated messages en masse. Your client now knows that that message is going out to 1,000 people, 5,000 people. They're not stupid. In the same way, if I say to you, let's have a strategy call, you know we're going to jump on a call and I'm going to pitch to you. The market has changed. Everyone now understands what's going on. So this niche focus that we used to get away with, I believe, and it's something I pushed 15 years ago, I believe search has gone full circle. And we're back to basic business fundamentals, using the tools around us, but in a very eloquent manner. So number one, niche focus. To get an increased number of clients, we need to have that niche focus. Number two, your positioning. This is something that virtually every agency gets completely wrong. They completely mess this up. They think about having a pretty website or a pretty LinkedIn logo, job done. No. But your positioning, how clients perceive you. Number three, partner visibility. So if you're under 5 million, so let's say you're from 6 figures to 5 million, you as a director, as a partner, your visibility is core to the business. And what lots of businesses do is they will bring on board a VA, they will run their automation, they will run these campaigns, and then at some point an inbound message will come, another VA will respond to them, and then because we got volume, we think that's going to give us the result of the back end. Those days are gone. And what it's actually doing is damaging your brand. So we need partner visibility. So that means we need visibility. And what we need is board relationships. So one thing I'm a massive believer in, especially now, and this is going to be a huge driver. When I came into search, my big push was one-to-many, inbound automation, using remote teams. Many people then took on board that and they've gone out and they've taught that as well. I believe those days have now transcended. We've gone full circle and the animal is eating itself. So now, if we want to run a business, let's say we want to get to 2 million. We've been focusing on volume models. No, we should be focusing on niche focus, positioning, partner visibility, and board relationships. And why, I will come to shortly. So for client side, if you take on board those 4 drivers, that's going to increase your number of clients by just 10%. Now, what you don't need are more leads. Well, Andy, I need more leads. No, you don't. You don't need more leads. What you need is more of the right client fit. So the right client in the right niche with your positioning, which then comes into your fee, but I'll cover in a second. We've got your partner visibility that comes into positioning and your ability to give certainty to the client, and board relationships or senior relationships. So those are the drivers to think almost esoterically at this moment on driving the number of clients. Next, roles per client. So we have a client, we've got ABC Manufacturing, we've got ABC FinTech. We've got a relationship with that client, with somebody in there. How do we get roles per client from 1 to 1.1? Now, of course, the number is going to be a rounded up number. So how do we increase that by 10%? So we're looking to increase the number of mandates per client. Now, again, there are ways you can do this in a structured fashion. So your strategy could be, we bring on board candidates, senior candidates. Those senior candidates then become the decision maker. We treat that candidate with the love that is instilled in us. and that candidate becomes a client. That client then needs X amount of roles filled. Who do they come to? You. So number of mandates, there are different ways to do this, but just take this again, just to start with a 10% factor. All we're doing here is, I'm not giving you a strategy here that's going to say it's going to take you from 500K to 3 million. I'm purely focusing on, can you grow your business by 10% in each of these areas? The answer is yes. Without me, you can do this now. You know that. Remember the gun to the head of your pet, your children, and your ex? So you've got a number of mandates. How do we do this? Well, we be strategic, succession planning. We focus on companies whereby there's a need for succession planning. We focus on roles where there's going to be succession planning. I've covered this recently on a lot of LinkedIn updates and articles have been putting out on LinkedIn. Next, candidate becomes a client, as I just said, the senior candidate. So how can we increase the number of roles per client? It's just by thinking a bit smarter. It can either come down just to having base relationships, a base ability to focus on, we've placed that candidate. Do you want fries with that? The upsell. But we don't do this often. We get straight into place the candidate, a little bit of love, off we go, client getting mode. We're not being strategic. Multi-role plans. So again, if you look at companies who maybe, rather than look at companies with data that used to happen, so let's build a data set of clients. No, let's build a data set of triggers. So what businesses are going to be hiring? What businesses are getting investment? What businesses are expanding? So that whether it covers trucking or whether it covers AI. We find trigger events. So we've got multi-role planning. And again, board advisory. At board level, do you think you could get 10% more roles? Of course you can. So this is not getting the volume of roles. It's not getting into transactional mode. It's the polar opposite. It's about becoming a trusted advisor. So what you're doing here is you're getting deep. And this is why I strongly believe, and this is what I'll be pushing with Apex now, is we have now eaten ourselves. The snake is eating itself. And this automation and this powerful set of tools we have has bastardized executive search. And our clients and candidates know this. They know this. They know they're not stupid in terms of what they're getting. Again, ask yourself, when was the last time you bought a £50,000 product from a DM? And yes, there will be anomalies. We're not focused on the anomaly, we're about the three drivers. Fee per role. So we've got 40K here. Can we increase it by 10%? Yes. Even just by increasing your fee, just by increasing it by 10%, your client's not going to pull away from that 10% unless you're in a commodity-based business and you are fighting on price. That's on you because you're not focusing on niche and you're not focusing on positioning, you're focusing on price. So then you've got feast and famine. So if you've got good month, bad month, client goes missing, candidate goes missing, you 100% have got an issue with niche focus and positioning. And you're not a board advisor. You're not at that level. And how do you become a board advisor, a trusted advisor? By niching down. So this all pulls together. There's a Venn diagram behind this. So fee per role, how do we do this? How do we increase our fee? Well, again, in the same way that McDonald's can increase their fee. I read the other day there's a new burger out in America, and my American friends with your lovely tans will know this. Is it $17 for a burger? But people are still paying it. 10% is nothing with inflation nowadays. However, let's focus on drivers you can take away, oscillate what's going on and get some focus. Number one, your client, again, we're dealing with board level, we're dealing with decision makers, you're a trusted advisor. They want certainty. If you can give them certainty, not just CVs, give them certainty about the individual, certainty about the process, but I'll come to that in a second. If you can give them certainty about the outcome, they want the risk removed. I did a post yesterday on LinkedIn, and this post purely said, nobody Googles cheap heart surgeon. Nobody Googles cheap heart surgeon. Now, for your business owner, or for your client, or for that MD, their business is their heart. They don't want the cheapest option. They want the best option that gives them certainty, gives them a clear outcome, gives them a guarantee. And risk framing. So risk reversal. How could you completely reverse that risk? And in fact, I need to give some directive on this. With the risk framing, it's about removing all the risk from your client. So in the same way, let's say you buy a new car and they say to you, you can drive it for a year, you can do as many miles as you want, bring it back at any point. You're more likely to buy that. And if they say, as soon as it's off the drive, you've lost 40% of its value, you're going to buy the car with all the risk removed, right? How can you get that degree of risk removed for the client? So again, this isn't about more CVs, isn't just about we've got this process. And one of the things we used to do in RMI, Recruitment Marketing International, which was what I had from 2010 to 23-4, was we'd have a client attainment system, a CAS. That now is redundant because the market has been bastardized and everyone's saying the same thing and removing the same risk. So how can you remove the risk? And that comes down to really understanding your niche, wherever you may be in the world, and then your position that feeds into your understanding around their drivers, their outcomes. So bringing this full circle, can you add 10% to the number of clients? Yes, you can. Could you take your business, so you got across all your clients, just 10% increase in roles per client? Of course you can. Could you increase your fee by 10%? Of course you could. If you're saying no, it's not that easy, pick up a pen, put up your backside and think about what's going on here. These are simple steps. Simple steps. Number of clients, roles per client, fee per role. 10%. What I'm not saying to you, you can increase this by 50%. I'm not saying to you, like I expect if somebody comes to me and they invest with me, I expect as a minimum, you're going to 10x the outcome of that. We're not talking about a 10x, we're talking about a 10%, a 0.1x. This is simple. You could do this by doing exactly what you're doing now, but just squeezing a bit more juice out of what you're doing now. So if you just take this and say, right, in the next year, next 90 days, how can I increase my number of clients by 10%? How can I increase the roles per client by 10%? How can I increase the fee by 10%? Well, that one's a case of just doing it, unless you've really pissed off your client or you've got a really poor positioning and you're in a completely commoditized market and it's transactional and you're purely fighting on being a commodity versus the other ambulance chaser down the road potentially, which again comes back to what is your business? And that isn't to cast aspersions on your business. If you're in that transactional market, go for it. However, I've now steered away from that sort of market. I believe there are quicker ways, and with the onset of AI, I think those businesses will be going out of business pretty damn quick. However, what AI cannot reproduce and cannot replace is this trusted advisor role. Not yet anyway. So how do you become a trusted advisor? That's a whole different topic I'll cover on another call, on another video. But I just want to put this out there just to break some of the limiting beliefs we've got around what's possible. Number of clients, roles per client, fee per role. You can do this now. Take a set of actions and write down what are 3 things I can do to increase the number of clients. It might simply be increase the process that you're doing by 10%. Roles per client might simply be asking. Fee, just do it. I had a wonderful client, Laura, in the veterinary space. And with Laura, we were on a group call with the Inner Circle, which is what we had in Recruitment Marketing International. We were on a group call and Laura worked in the veterinary space. Laura's fantastic, massive energy. And on this call, she came on the call and there were about 50 members on the call. And she said, I want to go retain, how do I do it? I said, just do it. Yeah, but just do it. Come back to me in a month, just do it. Anyway, she sends out the proposals, bam, bam, bam. I think the first one came in about 6 o'clock that night. She's messaged me saying, I can't believe it, I can't believe it. Next was, increase the fee, just increase it. I can't remember what the fee was, let's say it's 40K, put it up to 55K. But she was a leader, she got positioning. And one of the cool things we also did with Laura is we took vets who were coming out of university or out of graduate school, then they were going into graduate training. At that point, we were getting them on board to become our graduate candidates. So we started to have them in our funnel from early doors. So all these little tweaks that we did added huge amounts to this business. But with Laura, it's a case of just do it. What you're saying, just put it in your contract. We're fully retained. That's all we do. With the fee, put it at 55. Just do it. What's the worst that's going to happen? I think I said to her, send it out to eight of your, we had no problems with leads with Laura, but put it out to 8 of your next contracts, your next proposals, and at that point we'll come back. First one came in, second one came in, third one came in. Nothing changed, service didn't change. All we simply did was say, we're going retained. We simply said, this was our fee. And of course, Laura's, shit, this isn't going to work. Because we're stuck in our head. And that's what I'm trying to break, is get you out of being stuck in your head. So with that said, these are the apex power levers, and there are 3 of them. And every decision you make in your business should start from these 3 fundamentals, and they should feed down. Almost like a marketing funnel, we feed down. But we've got 1, 2, 3. Make your decisions based on these 3. So again, connect with me on LinkedIn. If you want to work with me, find me on LinkedIn, send me a message. I'll speak to you soon. Don't become your worst enemy. This is basic, and you probably are sitting on more money than you realize. See you soon.